Okay, for our Anova, we're going to pull several things in this video, and then I'll use a separate video for analyzing the results. But the Anova I'll be looking at here deals with sleep. Specifically, I'm curious whether different races or perhaps by biological sex, if there's different averages amount of sleep. It's a beautiful question for an Anova because the outcome variable that we're measuring is quantitative. So sleep in this data set is measured as average number of hours per night. And we're looking at a difference in that outcome by some categorical variable or variables. In this case, race and biological sex are both categorical variables. So I'm using the behavioral risk factor surveillance survey. So we're talking basically Pennsylvania adults. I've already cleaned out the missing data. And if that's something you need help with, again, just send me an email. That's probably easier to do in Sheets or Excel before you pull it into JASP. But once you have your data there and ready to go, you can go to Anova. The dependent variable, again, should be something that's quantitative, either a ratio or interval variable. And in my case, I'm going to use sleep time. And then your fixed factors, if you just put 1 in, this is a one-way Anova right there, a simple Anova. You just have one thing that you're looking at, basically. What I'm going to do is add then a second variable. Now we have what's called a two-way Anova, and there's really 3 things being tested there. So I'll go through those in a separate variable. A separate video. So this is the first thing I want you to have is your Anova chart, and I also want a measure of effect size there. So if you go down to additional options, you have the option of putting estimates of effect size. So I want you to include that there. While you're at the effect side, if you could go ahead and click on descriptive statistics too. This is a nice important one. It tells you by the race category, and let me just, in case you're interested, flash those race categories there. So I have white, black, Asian, American Indian, Alaskan Native, Hispanic, and then a catch-all other category. That's what those 6 are. 1 here is male, 2 here is female. So you can see I really have 12 different groupings in my sample. I have the white males, the white females, and so on, 12 different. And I have the average number of hours per sleep for each of those groups right there. This doesn't run any significance. It just gives you those descriptives. But I do want to run some significant follow-up to these, and that would be found in the post-hoc tests. In order to know which of these to choose, so you should have 3 options, either of your 2 factors or the interaction term. What I want you to do is go up to your Anova output, which should already be there. I want you to select the one with the lowest p-value. And if you have 2 that are both the same exact, just choose one of them. In my case, that's going to be race, and so I'm going to take race. I'm going to add that as a post hoc test. Go ahead and just do Tukey for this as a default. If you've read the Mitulski and you specifically know what you're interested in and want to choose one of these, you could choose a different one. Otherwise, just choose Tukey as a default. It's not going to make any difference in these mean differences. It's basically just a way to control against type 1 error, to decide what the p-value should actually be for each of those comparisons. And then the final thing I want you to do is go to Descriptive Plots, and I want to visualize what's going on with this Anova, especially with a two-way where there's several things going on. And you should have your 2 factors there. Choose the factor with fewer categories, and in my case that would be sex, because there's just male and female compared to race. And I'm going to put that as my horizontal axis, the one with fewer categories. You don't need to do that. This is more just to help me visualize it a little bit easier. and then my imputed race there I'm going to put in. So the other one you'll put in as the separate lines variable. And we'll talk about that in an interpretation video. So there should be 4 things that you should cut and paste into your week 11 Google Sheets. It's the overall two-way ANOVA, the post-hoc tests for whichever variable is the most statistically significant here, the row, even if it's the interaction term. Descriptives, that just gives the breakdown, and then a visualization of those descriptives. So 4 things that you should be cutting and paste. You could probably grab 2 at a time. And once you've done all that, you're done with your actual ANOVA. What you really need to do is an interpretive comment. You may want to do that in Word or somewhere else and email it to me. If comments have been going smoothly for you so far in Google Sheets, that would be a very easy place to put the comments. But somehow you need to take those 4 things in your spreadsheet, and then you need to get your interpretation comments to me somehow.